This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Wednesday, September 1st. We've made it. I'm Tori in for Jeff here with Al and Erica. September, huh?
Yeah.
Can't believe it's here. All right, let's get started. Britney Spears' lawyer is now accusing her dad of extorting $2 million from her conservatorship. This story has legs. Earlier this week, her lawyer filed another petition to have Jamie Spears immediately removed as her conservator. The lawyer claims that Jamie will only step down after he is paid $2 million. Now, in order to pay off his lawyers and agents and himself is what he's claiming. In a statement, the lawyer said that Britney will not be bullied or extorted by her father, and Jamie does not have the right to hold his daughter hostage by setting the terms of his removal. This guy, huh? This guy. I don't like this guy.
I was surprised that he wasn't trying to get more, to be honest. I don't think it's the appropriate thing to do given the circumstances and the ramifications for Britney and her freedom.
Yeah.
However, I was kind of surprised that it was only $2 million that he was trying to get out of her.
I thought the same thing and then thought, I think he did it low end because he wanted it to go by the radar and they would just do it, right? Like no one would bring it up. Her new attorney, thank the Lord, is so good. He's going to put that out on Twitter the first second, and he's going to make him look bad because everyone's been doing it to Britney this whole time.
Well, but it's almost past beyond making him look bad to me. I'm just like, why does this person, I guess we have to call him her father, but doesn't seem like he's behaving as one. It seems like he's behaving as somebody that's going through their lawyers, no different than the three of us would. Why does it seem like the court is so entrenched in keeping him where he is? I just don't get, I do not understand why this one person, because we talked about conservatorships, they are for people that are usually, they can't speak for themselves.
Like in a coma,
right.
Exactly.
I don't understand why in this one situation, we act like we can't remove him like he's a former head of state or something. It's a guy in a Hawaiian shirt looking for money. Like, get him out of there.
I think because we really hold on to the idea of a father. I really think it's the romanticization of fatherhood, when the truth is we have a lot of icons, both past and present, who have had completely no relationship with their father until they became famous. Can you imagine if some of these other fathers who had no relationship for 18 years of their lives growing up, they become famous, super rich, and then all of a sudden they get to dictate everything about their lives? I mean, it's been pretty much reported that Jamie Spears had no relationship with Britney until he came on and decided to rule her life. That is insane. It's insane.
I used to watch a documentary on Dennis Rodman, and he said he was on the basketball court for the Detroit Pistons and looked up, and his dad was in the audience he'd never seen before.
Wow.
His dad, and he's like, his dad was getting interviewed like, that's my boy. It's like, who are you? Like, and for him to then have control over Dennis's finances.
Wow.
Like, we need to reevaluate whether it's father or father with quotation marks around it.
I completely agree with you. All right, Rose McGowan, oh boy. She's put Oprah on blast. Dun, dun, dun. Rose recently called out Oprah on Twitter over her past associations with some controversial men. Rose wrote, quote, "From being pals with Harvey Weinstein to abandoning and destroying Russell Simmons' victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come." Music producer Russell Simmons has been accused of rape by at least 15 women. Last year, Oprah did pull out of a documentary that's highlighting their stories because she and the filmmakers apparently did not see eye to eye on the project. As for her former friendship with Harvey Weinstein, Oprah has said that she didn't know about the sexual assault accusations from women, including Rose, only she knew that he was a bully. You step up to the plate to take down Oprah. Thoughts?
Growing up, I wanted to be Oprah.
Oh, me too.
Now that I'm an adult, dear God. I mean, honestly, like, you cannot win for losing. Here's the thing. I really empathize with Rose McGowan because we are seeing this whole string of survivors, especially in the wake of Me Too, who have had very covert pain until recently, when they have been strong enough to say, this is what happened to me. There has not necessarily been healing. This has happened in the open. There's no time to really process both. But I don't think that her anger or disappointment is properly placed, because Oprah is one person. Yes, she's an empire. She's a mogul. But we cannot go to Oprah for all things. Oprah was also very much on the hot seat because of her involvement with the documentary about Michael Jackson. So she's getting it coming and going. I think it's time that we look to other people. It can't be one person.
Because we're always using Oprah, always.
Changes everything. Oprah is a survivor herself. The fact that she isn't perfect is the reason why a lot of people like myself relate to her, empathize with her. At one point wanted to be her until we realized that it was just too hard.
Yeah, which, I mean, she is everything, but she also has everything on her. I was going to bring that up to you, Al. She was a victim of it herself, of sexual assault. How do you feel that this compares with what Rose said? Do you think she's a point?
Well, I think that, you know, going after Oprah, it makes it too easy. It's an identifiable face, an identifiable name. That's the person we should be angry with. Like I've said time after time, the reason Harvey Weinstein was able to operate the way he was because of the way the power structure and the dynamic that we had set up, and still probably in most places still currently set up, where there's one person that through intimidation and coercion can do whatever they want, because most people want to keep their jobs, because most people want to elevate in their jobs. And if there's one person, whether it be male or female or however you identify, that people have to go through, that's going to give one person an inordinate amount of power. In this case, it was Harvey Weinstein. In Silicon Valley, it's some guy you don't know. At a Hooters restaurant, it's the manager. When there's one person that everybody has to kowtow to, because of the way human beings are made up, we're going to see this more and more. And just saying Oprah's wrong and then George Bush and then everything else is fine, that's not going to help anything. We need to start systematically dismantling things, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
It's more complex.
It's a lot more work than saying Oprah did it.
Yeah, that's very fair. Great point. All right, well, you've got to see this feel-good video. This gives me all the feels. Will Smith surprised the actor who was cast into his Bel Air family as the new Will in the Fresh Prince reboot. Take a look.
I want to say congratulations to you. You have the role of Will on Bel Air.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the coolest thing about this is he's from Philly, which gives him that Philly cred, which, as I just said, doesn't give me Philly cred. The Philly cred. But his last name's also Banks, Jabray Banks. So he kind of fits in perfectly, and it feels like the personality of Will. What do you think?
Well, you have to tell our audience why Banks is.
Banks is the name, sorry, of the family,
Right.
Phil Banks and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. You were just like, and his last name's Banks.
That's totally fair. You're totally right. What do you think about this, Al?
I mean, it just when I found out that I got my 30-minute special on Comedy Central, I was at my mama's house in Cleveland, and I got the call. And I remember, like, as they were telling me, they were like, yeah, so you can shoot in October. And I was like, it took me so long to realize what they were saying because it wasn't even a thing. I remember this is back when I drank. I hung up the phone and no one was home. And I just went in the kitchen and opened a bottle of champagne, sat on the floor and drank it until I couldn't stand up. And like, honestly, this is like one of those situations where it's like we rarely get a chance to see somebody have the best day of their life, Erica.
And real quick, it's
love
Jabari
that.
Banks. Just so you know, it's Jabari Banks, not Jabray. I was told incorrectly. I want to make sure we get that name right because he'll be a star. Go ahead, Erica. Excuse me.
No, I love that story, Al, and it's true. I think that it doesn't have to be Will Smith calling you.
Right.
Doesn't hurt.
It does. No, I mean, if you're lucky, it's Will Smith calling you. But no, I think we can all reflect on some moment in our lives, and that's really something that I'm intentional about more now than ever, because I think we have had so little to get excited about and celebrate over the past year and a half that even the small things I would have said, oh, that's a small win. I'm like, woo! It's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win, So I love a good win, especially now.
And also, that was entertaining.
Yeah?
I think that you can go down a rabbit hole where you're watching people fight over toilet paper at a Kmart. But you can also go down a rabbit hole of veterans coming home and surprising them, surprise weddings, that young man getting the best news of his life.
How about the cochlear?
A dad walking.
The cochlear implant ones when they can hear their mother.
There was one that snuck up on me.
It says, "I love you," and the baby can hear.
They put glasses on this baby, and I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like,
yeah. Dang it. It got you.
Just that tear you go.
Just the one down there. It
Don't
happened.
show emotion. Be a black man.
Be a black
Came
man.
out.
All right, this is a quick story. I want to get to a fashion show in Italy erupted into chaos after a hailstorm pelted both the models and the guests. It happened during the Dolce & Gabbana men's fashion show in Venice. Check out the models just standing on the runway as hail comes crashing down on them. Fashion stylist Brad Goreski, I believe, caught some of the craziness on camera, showing guests dodging golf ball-sized hail. Actress Kate Bosworth ran away under an umbrella. Kourtney Kardashian was also caught up in the storm with a friend. And get this, that's Dame Helen Mirren taking cover under Vin Diesel's coat. I feel like I just took acid.
It really,
You know what I mean? I'm like, was a raisin just talking to like Marlon Brando?
Yeah, I know people want to, go like, oh, these rich models, they can't take it. Hail is super painful.
And it dents your car.
Dent your car. There's a whole business in hail damage repair. So yes,
that's true.
Okay.
All right, well, take care of yourselves, Helen Mirren. We love you, especially you. Coming up on DBL, have some of your favorite TV shows put pandemics into the storylines? We're discussing whether COVID topics should be mixed in with entertainment. And we got to go there. Piers Morgan's road to redemption. Does he deserve to
Where'd you get that picture
his
from?
job back? It's not flattering. It's
Straight
not
from the pub that
flattering.
opens at 6 in the morning.
Oh, no.
Closed captioning provided by
Okay, Erica, you are the resident Denverite? Is that the word?
I'm gonna take this from you.
Sorry.
Oh.
I lived in Denver, yes, before the show started.
So by 8
but I
years?
am not a native.
Yeah, so I'm asking you, have you been a victim of hail damage? Because I know my girlfriend, her brother.
What boring topic.
No, her brother. I didn't know hail was.
1-800 no damage.
I didn't know hail was like a real thing. Like it's a whole business. Like
It is.
And like after hailstorms, her brother would go out and leave flyers on people's
Yeah.
cars.
But
I didn't
you didn't
know.
have hail
We
in
don't have
Ohio?
like that.
I lived in Miami, New York,
Really?
and LA.
In Denver is the first time when I saw a car with all these little dents, and I'm like, what is that? And in the middle of a summer storm, there'll be hail,
Yeah.
and it'll kill your car.
Well, But see, we had hail in Chicago too, so I think it's more than just Denver. But like, yeah, if you're, other people get hail. I have never had any damage to my vehicle as a result of hail, but I also only had a vehicle for maybe 4 years of my life. But when Anthony, my husband, and I first started dating, the first time he picked me up, he had this car and it was completely dented with hail. And I finally asked him, like, why don't you get this fixed? And he's like, I'm just so used to it now and I really don't care. And I was like, oh, okay. So I would always know where his car was because it was the one that was, I mean, there was barely a nook or cranny that didn't, I mean, the car should have been totaled out.
I've never heard the phrase nooks or crannies used in that. I don't know when you use that.
You know when I
phrase.
like hearing nooks and crannies? When you discuss an English muffin.
Nook, so use it in a sentence.
Oh, this Thomas English muffin had so many buttery nooks and crannies.
That was literally the commercial.
I know.
But when
That
else
was
would you,
literally,
when else would you
she
use
acted
it?
like she made that up. She did not make that up.
I want our audience
like,
to
word
Nook
for
and
word.
cranny are the same thing.
No, nooks and crannies are different.
Well, how are they
A
different?
nook is more of a
We all
cozy.
know what a nook is.
A nook.
I know what a breakfast
The
nook
hole,
is.
the cranny is the ridge. Yeah.
Oh boy, I love this group of people. All right, welcome back to DBL. Believe it or not, Piers Morgan is asking for his morning show job back. Now, if you don't remember what happened, he got into serious trouble for saying he didn't believe Meghan Markle during her Oprah appearance, then walked off the show when confronted. Let's take a refresher.
And I understand that you've got a personal relationship with Meghan Markle, or had one, and she cut you off. She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
OK, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, maybe not my own.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do
This is
this.
absolutely diabolical behaviour.
Could not find the door, as Al said. Piers was forced to quit after over 50,000 complaints were received. Again, he quit. But today, a British TV watchdog group is saying no rules were breached and backed his right to challenge Meghan. Now Piers is asking if he can get his job back. Should he, Erica Cobb?
How you gonna quit and then be upset with everybody else? Like, if that isn't the most privileged crap I've ever heard, I really don't even know. And let's keep in mind, Piers has had his entire career as being a professional troll.
Yes.
Yes, he received backlash, but that's what happens when you're very honest about your opinion. He gave his opinion. There was backlash. He didn't quit because he was forced to quit. He was quit because his pride couldn't handle it. The takedown was actually that gentleman, his name Chris, that gentleman right there.
He was good.
Telling him the truth.
Yeah.
Piers is one of those guys who never got the memo that he ain't still got it, okay? He is completely mind blown that a woman like Meghan Markle, and like, let's just be very honest about who he had Meghan Markle pinned as. He was above her. So how dare she decide that she wasn't going to communicate with Piers anymore and then go on and date Harry? How dare she? Who does she think she is? That's his whole problem. That's the reason why it hurts so bad. And it's painful for him. That's why he walked off the set. There ain't nothing more than a hit dog being hollered.
Erica, I'm going to tell you this. I think there's something that our audience, everybody watching, can take away from this. It's when you have the big Jerry Maguire, who's coming with me after I quit moment, everybody thinks, well, that's your moment. You showed them. It's on Twitter. It got 500,000 likes. Yeah, that's great. What about next Wednesday?
I agree with you. I agree with you. That's
What's
your
up
moment.
next Thursday?
Yeah.
You know, and what
How do you
people
stand up
forget-
to that?
It's that no, life goes on.
Yeah, people forget.
They tape the show the next day and the next day, and now Piers' name is less and less in the mentions, less and less in the hashtags, and now he's like, can I get my old gig back? He wanted to have the big fireworks display, and he got it.
Yeah.
He thought there
But you
was
gotta
going to
live
be a
with it.
Piers Morgan march, and there was not. people did not care. You have a watchdog group coming. How long ago was this? This is like ancient history. So the idea that he's asking for his job back because he understands how irrelevant he truly is without that platform. He really is.
It's like a troll that trolls, and then when people complain, he can't take it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do trolls do anything but troll?
I don't think so, and I don't think they can take it. This is my way of saying
that you're freezing cold troll.
The troll, that's right.
I just think people need to realize that life goes on, and everybody thinks like, well, when Michael Jordan retires, there's no more NBA. Here comes LeBron James. Whatever happens, you can have your moment. You can yell. You can storm off and take the long way, Piers. But once you get out that door, no one cares.
No one cares. That's how people feel about me after stand-up. Coming up on DBL, thank you.
You're a good fan.
TV shows and movies embrace or escape the pandemic. Start thinking about it because we're talking about it coming up next.
Hurricane Ida made landfall 16 years to the day after Hurricane Katrina devastated southern Louisiana. It immediately prompted comparisons between the two storms, like this tweet with 1,500 likes claiming Louisiana has never seen a hurricane as strong as Ida. So let's verify. Did Ida make landfall as a stronger storm than Katrina? Our sources are NOAA and KHOU meteorologist Tim Pendages. NOAA issued this update as Ida made landfall Sunday, warning of 150-mile-per-hour winds from the Category 4 storm. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina made landfall as a Category 3 with winds of around 125 miles per hour.
The difference with that, Katrina had a much larger wind field, therefore was able to impact a larger area.
In contrast, Ida's worst winds were concentrated in a narrower area.
Those areas within 20, 30 miles of that storm center were getting whacked with 150-mile-an-hour winds. We had gusts over 160, 170.
So it's true. Ida did make landfall as a stronger storm than Katrina. However, a hurricane's category only looks at wind strength. Katrina's size caused a much higher storm surge and more severe damage. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back to DBL. When it comes to our pandemic movie and TV viewing, do you embrace reality or try to escape from it? So a social psychologist says those who engaged in active coping during the lockdown gravitated to old movies that reflected the pandemic, like Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman. That's a great movie, by the way. But others chose to avoid dealing with reality by rewatching movies and TV shows from their childhood. I did that. TV shows like Grey's Anatomy took on the pandemic head on and reflected it directly in the storylines, as did This Is Us, which also tackled issues around the Black Lives Matter movement. But one of the breakout hits of the pandemic, Ted Lasso, is set in England and does not show the characters dealing with the pandemic in any way. Do y'all have a favorite? Do you want to see it? Do you not want to see it? I know Blackish is doing it, and it's really real. What do you guys feel?
I was going to mention Blackish. Between Blackish and This Is Us are two of my favorite shows. And I really appreciated how they took on not only the pandemic, but also the social justice conversation. Because I think when you're really, really loyal to a show, you want to know how your favorite characters would handle it.
That's a good
they
point.
handle
That's
it.
a good point.
So it almost opens up a different type of conversation, like, oh, I was thinking that same thing, or that's how I reacted to that.
That's a great point. What would she do? The character I see in my living room every single day. What do you think?
I mean, for me, it's well known that I watch a lot of kind of goofy. That's a nice word. Reality
like
TV.
Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiance, which I'm now obsessed with.
And so they do have to deal with the pandemic because obviously it's been long enough where no matter what they shot, it was during that time. And so it's very weird for me because I don't mind watching them dealing with the regulations, but I don't like the ones where they're shooting themselves, like where they have the camera with themselves. I won't watch those. So I don't mind it, but
there's a limit.
Yeah, but I do find myself gravitating towards movies that are are about outbreaks and things like that. So I do watch a lot of like the Netflix kind of knock off Walking Dead
like
kind of. Yeah,
Contagion?
Black Summer's a good one.
Yeah.
I think the difference too with like a Ted Lasso as an example is that could literally exist at any time. You know, like these are shows that are happening more in real time, especially This Is Us, because they're documenting. I'm the same age as the big three. So we know based on the premiere every year that it's the big three's birthday. So we're following them every year. So they have to address what's happening in the world.
I wonder if I'm someone that I just know for myself. I went to comfort food in the beginning when I talk about like Golden Girls. We watched Cheers, all of Cheers.
Really?
There's so many episodes of Cheers. But and that was safe to me, but now I want to see it. So it evolved over time.
Makes
Interesting.
sense.
Also, Golden Girls, you've got to check it out. Still holds up. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
This image of dogs in cages has gone viral on social media, with claims military service dogs were left behind in Afghanistan when the U.S. military evacuated from the country. Since the Taliban took control of Afghanistan 2 weeks ago, there have been a number of misleading images shared on social media, claiming to show current events from the country. So let's verify. Does this photo show U.S. military service dogs left behind in Afghanistan? Our sources are John Kirby, Pentagon Press Secretary, Eric Pahone, spokesperson for the Department of Defense and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby tweeted, "The U.S. military did not leave any dogs in cages at the international airport in Kabul, including the reported military working dogs." He says the photos online show animals under the care of the Kabul Small Animal Rescue, a nonprofit helping evacuate animals from Afghanistan. The DoD confirmed in a statement to verify that the dogs in the photo are not U.S. military service dogs. Rather, they were the responsibility of private contracting companies. He says no U.S. military service dogs were left in the care of KSAR. According to KSAR, they weren't able to secure transport for the animals in their care because of a new CDC policy. The CDC says they issued a temporary suspension for dogs imported from high-risk countries for dog rabies, like Afghanistan. But in a statement to verify, they confirmed the CDC worked closely with the DoD and DOS to issue permits for the evacuation of all government-owned working dogs per the agency's requests. The dogs under KSAR's care are not considered government-owned working dogs. So we can verify, no. This photo does not show U.S. military service dogs left behind in Afghanistan. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till. To receive daily fast facts to your phone, text Verify to 202-410-8808. And to sign up for our newsletter, visit verifythis.com/email.
Welcome back to DBL. This week, Hurricane Ida left devastation along the Gulf Coast, and scammers are taking advantage. We're chatting about it in today's Bang for Your Buck presented by The Hartford. So according to the National Center for Disaster Fraud, fake impersonations of officials is a popular scam. But we want to give you some tips to keep you safe. Number one, federal and state workers always will carry ID badges, and they will never ask for money. 2, there are no fees when applying for government disaster assistance. 3, consider a credit freeze or set up a fraud alert on your credit cards. When it comes to your money, the Hartford Financial is here to help. Whether it's home, life, or business insurance, the Buck's got your back. Call 1-800-683-7108 or visit thehartford.com to learn more.
Yeah, I just want to say, tell everybody, I was, victim of credit card scam and also of a student loan. I got ripped off by a company. So there's no shame in this. I was in college and I got ripped off, and I was post-college with my credit card. So I don't want people, if you're like, there's a certain amount of shame attached to this as well, and I don't want people to have it.
Well, I think the silence is what makes it perpetuate itself, because if you're not having these conversations, then people never admit that it can happen to you.
Exactly, and it happened to Al, and I'm really proud of you for speaking out. DBL's new every day. We'll be back tomorrow, so will you. Bye, guys.